Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white trunks with blue trim and weighing in at 116 pounds. His professional record, 19 victories with 8 losses and 1 draw, 8 knockouts to his credit. He comes to us from Mexico City. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the challenger, Miguel Angel Granados. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red, trimmed with white, and weighing in at 115 pounds. His professional record, a perfect one, consisting of 22 victories in 22 bouts, 16 knockouts. He comes to us by way of Puerto Rico, now fighting out of Madison, Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, the little hands of stone, Eric Morel.
Unroll, unroll. You have to unroll. Yeah. Okay, just a chief second only. Just a chief, who's the chief?
I'll be speaking English, I'll be in charge.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, you have to go back. You have to go back, just one guy. Okay, listen gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want to caution you to be my commands at all times and keep the fight clean at all times. Good luck to both of you, touch them up.
Eric Morel is one of 5 Olympians from 1996, along with Mayweather, Vargas, Reed, and Judah, who are undefeated, shaping up as one of the better classes of recent Olympics.
Incidentally, that was Morel's dad, Cirilo Morel, who was sent back to the corner by referee Kenny Bayless, who said 1 second only, and that meant the trainer Bob Lynch had to be the man who stayed there with Morel. But Morel got a heartening and supportive kiss from his dad as he got ready to come out and started off in round 1. He is a terrific puncher, George.
Well, I'm glad when he said 1 second, he wasn't talking about how long the fight would go.
Granados had the beginnings of a promising career, but freely admits that boxing is taking up less of his time as he moves on toward the rest of his life, and that's part of the reason why he's lost 5 of his last 8 bouts. It's not a good way to prepare to fight somebody like Morel, although you can see that Granados is not without professional training.
Morel has got a stinging left jab. When you have power and also a dangerous left jab, it's hard to kind of penetrate you.
If there's a weakness in Eric Morel's whole scenario, it is that in living in Madison, Wisconsin, he's chosen to stay in a place where there's an absence of boxing culture. He's only got a few sparring partners. Recently, he was sparring with a woman boxer there to help her prepare for a big fight.
I like to see a young fighter establish his left jab in a fight, make the guy start bobbing and weaving, thinking about that more than throwing punches. That's what Morel has done so far. Granados has got to get in there, touch him at all times. Don't just stand there and have idle time not doing anything, because you'll just give him more courage.
Morel told us something fascinating yesterday, George. Said when he was a kid, he was in some amateur programs with the then somewhat older Felix Trinidad. He said, you know, it's interesting, as an amateur, Felix couldn't punch, didn't have punching power. Hard to believe when you look at Trinidad's two-fisted power today.
Sometimes it takes a little belief in your ability to throw power punches. And then the amateurs, they concentrate on landing points so much, you don't really develop a punching style.
Yeah, Tommy Hearns was a boxer when he was in the amateurs.
Yet another of the many parallels tonight between Hearns and Trinidad.
Morel gets a good right hand in there after the jab now. I like when he moves out of the way, Morel, he moves his feet and the whole station goes along.
And already there's reddening above the left eye of Granados, which has taken the brunt of a lot of those stinging Morel jabs.
A lot of fighters in that weight class will move their head and their feet are still in the same position.
Kenny Bayless Pauses to warn Granados to keep him up, and Morel takes advantage to jump in and land the combination. And our interpreter in both corners between rounds will be Ray Torres.
You got to watch it. He's going to take that right hand, so throw it. You just got to watch him.
He's going to give you that right hand to him a little more. Everything is fine. But don't stay with one jab or he'll counter it. Pump the second and the third.
If you let him, he's going to beat you to the punch. He's going to beat you to the punch. You can't let him do that. You got to be fast.
A lot of jabs, a lot of 1-2s like this in the first round from Eric Morel.
And round one was a CompuBox wipeout for Morel, who landed 34-57 punches to Granados' 4 of 18. Morel firing his jab 39 times and landing it 23. 4 more jabs, and down goes Granados on the perfect right hand.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You okay? Come to me. Left.
Long time to go in this round.
Interesting, Granados is still the aggressor. Though he was knocked down, he got up, continuously challenged the big puncher.
True to his origins. I'm from Mexico. I'm going to fight like a Mexican fighter.
Oh, it's just that this guy is not.
Keep him up. There we go.
Low blow warning from Bayless to Granados. And Granados lands a counter right hand to force Morel back just a little bit.
But I wonder about guys who are dynamic punchers like this, and they still allow guys to chase them down. It means there's something missing in that arsenal.
What do you explain that, George?
When you get knocked down like that, like Granados was, there should be something to make you decide, I better back away and leave this guy alone. It doesn't exist here tonight.
There you go.
Maybe Granados doesn't feel Morel's punch is all that heavy.
He's still in the power, but there's something about him that says, hey, I'm not backing away from you.
George, did you ever think that maybe is why he's here in this fight?
Step back, please. Step back, please.
It's called matchmaking.
Good left jab by Granados. When you're fighting a guy like Morel and he's classic, jab him. Do something to get him off his
Well, there's something, a lead right hand.
Yeah, throw him off. Do something that he intends to do to you. Make him miss and jab him.
Yeah, things weren't tough enough already for Granados, of course. You saw Kenny Bayless deducting the point for low blow. So there's been a knockdown in the second round and a point deduction.
Well, they almost deducted. They warned him anyway.
All right, I'll accept the opinion of the producers and my colleagues here who say that there was no deduction. Maybe my attention was diverted. I thought I saw Kenny Bayless turn to the judges and say 1 point. I am right. He did deduct a point.
That was right.
So it is at best a 10-7 round for Granados. He lands a left hook to the body. Yeah, absolutely, George. Good call.
You got to be first. You got to pop and wait and go. Don't be waiting. Throw the right punch. You got to be alert there. You can't lower your hands.
Keep him up. He's going way too low. Tell him to keep him up.
Let's give him some water.
Take a look at the knockdown here. He doubles up on the jab for one of the few times, does it twice, and catches his opponent a little off balance. He wasn't hurt that much by that punch. Let's take a look at what was called a low blow. That's a very questionable call, and one could say that the referee was protecting the favorite a little bit there.
But he had warned before. And there you see the 10-7 round on the Letterman card. So Eric Morel well in control now as we arrive at round 3 of a scheduled 12.
Morel does so much better when he circles him with his jab and not go straight backwards. That's what you want to do with a tiger like that. You want to circle him. Don't go backwards. Step and move.
Morel wound up living in Madison, Wisconsin, because his father urgently wanted to get the family out of Puerto Rico, where they lived in poverty and difficult circumstances. And when Morel's older brother got into the University of Wisconsin, seeking to wind up going to medical school there, the dad, getting a look at Madison, said, "Nice place, let's all go."
I think almost anybody who would see Madison would say that.
I thought so too.
Now Morel is taking the aggressive stance a little bit. He's not backing up as much.
Morel missing with a left hook. And Granados continues to press the action and come forward, despite Morel's success in landing the jab and the knockdown with the right hand in round 2.
Morel is using his left jab. It's almost no contest.
Work out, work out, work out, work out, work out.
Lead left hook for Morel.
Work out.
Granados demonstrating at this point he's able to take Morel's punches one at a time. It'll take a volume of punches to create a knockdown.
Morel is a two-punch puncher. He throws either he doubles up on the jab, or he throws the jab and follows with the right. He doesn't stay in there long enough to follow up with the left hook, George, that can really do damage.
Yeah, probably somewhere in his career, a couple guys caught him with those. You learn on. Don't do that again. He's getting a good challenge from Granados.
Uppercut by Morel. Reaching with it just a little bit. Needs to wait until Granados comes a tiny bit closer.
He seemed not to be able to throw a good left jab and a right hand. He paused with the left when he throws the right hand.
There, Granados stepped in and dropped his hands, and Morel got a chance to whack him with the left hook.
Hold on. Keep him up. That's a hard morning, dude. Keep him up. Come on, let's go.
Couple more low blows by Granados. And they trade punches in the middle of the ring, and Granados, totally brave and game, coming back punch for punch with Eric Morel. Crowd likes it. Just a little bit earlier, you take a look at the arrival by a limousine of one Oscar De La Hoya. Guaranteed $21 million for his labors tonight. And that's just the direct proceeds from the boxing match. Heaven only knows how that reverberates in his multifaceted commercial endorsement career. Oscar, clearly, by a huge margin, the most marketable athlete in this sport. And here comes the much more obscure, but equally celebrated by inside boxing people, Felix Trinidad. He arrived at the arena a full half hour later than did De La Hoya. De La Hoya at 5:22, Trinidad at 5:50, West Coast time.
He's an $8.5 million man.
A good number, but not quite the same as 21.
I'll take 1.5.
Well, you've done that a few times, George.
You wonder what possessed Morel at the end of the last round to suddenly say, okay, let's flurry and see what happens.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it through it?
Jim, 3-0, but 30-25, Eric Morel. Let's explain the scoring in round 2, Jim. He wins the round 10-9, no doubt, with that left jab. He knocks Miguel Angel Granados down. He gets one more point. That makes it 10-8. Kenny Bayless takes away 1 point for low blow, so therefore the score in the second round becomes 10-7. So therefore, 30-25, Eric Morel.
So what do you think, George? What made him go at the end of the last 15 seconds?
I think, like we talked about earlier, he said, look, I'm hitting this guy, I'm not getting any respect. At some point, you got to take over and say, look, back away, leave me alone. I'm the champ here, or so to speak.
Well, that leads me to
it didn't work.
The main event tonight. You know, where everybody wants Oscar De La Hoya to stick to a plan, never show any initiative or intuition in the ring. Don't you just have to do that sometime?
Sometimes, if you're going to get some respect in that ring, you're going to have to knuckle down, grip the floor, and make this guy respect you. We all are going to have to do that. Everyone has to do that.
And Granados increasingly disrespectful of Morel, and of course, well aware, veteran pro that he is, that he's behind on the scorecards. Firing right hand leads, looping left hooks, and he takes a hard right hand shot right up the pipe from Morel. Morel trying to follow with a left hook to the body, but couldn't quite get it there. That's another area where you'd like to see the young fighter learn a little more, and that's body punching, George. He just hasn't gone to the body to complement his upstairs attack much at all.
Yeah, Granados is really presenting a problem. You bend down a bit and he hooks you. See, misses him. Anytime you bend down, he's got something for you.
Something low and wide.
Morel turns southpaw here, looking for something to crack this tough nut in front of him.
And quickly switches back to his conventional stance. Well, you heard Kenny Bayless warn Granados of the low blows again in the last round, and there's another obvious low blow.
That was a low blow.
And another one. Bayless lets him get away with it because it was right on the hip. Morel having landed a good, strong counter left hook in the flurry.
But showing frustration that he hasn't been able to get his opponent out.
Yeah, he does. He's popping.
You got to keep working.
Let his breathing get normal. Yeah, he's going to continue to pop low. Yeah, let the referee take care of that, Eric. And you make the We can still use a lot more jabs, Eric. Now pick your times and pop his head back. When you're going to shoot, though, always take a step.
Morel came in with a reputation as a puncher. 16 knockouts in 22 fights. Throws his right hand, gets his forearm, his elbow, his muscles, his back, his backside, his legs and his toes into it. And Granados walks away.
That didn't hurt.
Interesting between rounds to observe Morel as he listens some of the time to his dad, Cyril Morel, and some of the time to his trainer from Madison, Wisconsin, Bob Lynch. They take turns instructing the fighter. Meanwhile, standing silently behind Morel and working as the cut man in that corner is Miguel Diaz, one of the most respected trainers in the sport in this particular day and age, and almost certainly the guy who could do the most to help the fighter between rounds.
His corner asked Morel to go a bit more to the left jab. They could use a few more jabs. He's almost deserted that tactic.
Winging left hook lands for Granados. That one Morel blocks with his left glove. Morel suddenly not very active.
When you come to a point and you start to think this fight may go the distance, and so you're not going to expel everything you got inside you. Expend it. You're going to save and reserve some things, and that's what he's doing there. He's pacing himself a little bit, picking his shots, but it's giving Granados courage.
Granados with 3 straight right hand leads, 2 upstairs and 1 to the body. Morel just kind of letting them pass by, and bang, there's another straight right hand up the middle. Granados takes the punch.
Morel needs a little distance with his right hand.
Watch your heads, watch your heads.
Here in round 5, it's becoming a tactical boxing match between Eric Morel and Miguel Angel Granados. Morel, the heavy favorite, trying to showcase his ambitions for a 115 or 118-pound world title shot. He was on the verge of getting a chance to fight Johnny Tapia for his title, but Tapia lost to Paulie Ayala earlier this summer, and Ayala decided he wants to take a couple of fights to enjoy having the title before he fights a young prospect like Morel. So now he's trying to call out Mark Too Sharp Johnson.
I don't think he's calling too loud for that one, Jim, to tell you the truth.
They trade right hands as the round comes to a close. Eric Morel against Miguel Angel Granados. Coming up in the next bout, Bob Arum's woman fighter Mia St. John, who was paid somewhere above $50,000. It's been reported as low as $65,000 or as high as $100,000 to pose for Playboy magazine. In the upcoming November issue, she appears wearing, she says, nothing other than my hand wraps. Those are Everlast gloves, incidentally, which made the cover of Playboy. And Mia, as you can see, is quite a hot number. Just wait till you see her box.
Jim, I thought she was the Playboy interview. That's not it.
Round 6 of a scheduled 12. In the 5th round, Morel landed 25 of 54 punches, but Granados landed 14 power shots. By far his best round, according to CompuBox numbers. Incidentally, Mia St. John, when you see her, is going to be fighting in a 4-rounder against a kickboxer from Kansas City named Kelly Downey. That'll be coming up next.
Morel deserted his left jab, and things started to open up for Granados. You got to go right back to the basic. Keep jabbing, move after a jab, and then jab when you stop. It's an easier fight, and you can do it all night.
Another low blow from Granados.
Morel's corner told him, let the referee pay attention to the low blows. Don't start complaining.
Morel just missing with the right hand as he tries to load up. Popping with the jab, now sets his feet and tries to fire the right to the body. Granados pressing the action and chasing Morel around the ring.
Turn southpaw again.
Morel switches southpaw. Yeah, you're right, Larry. And now back to the conventional stance. He only does it for a few beats at a time. Wonder if we'll see that in the main event.
You need to take a breather every now and then, and that's the way he relaxes.
Now Granados steps into a right hand and goes nowhere as Morel lands it.
Morel backs up without a left jab, and let me tell you, that could cost you. Undue punishment.
Well, no matter what happens from here on out, Morel, who is sort of being showcased here tonight, has not made his case.
No, I described him as a devastating puncher, and after 6 rounds of this, I would have to say that he's less devastating than I thought was the case, or certainly less devastating against Miguel Angel Granados than a lot of us thought would be the case.
But on the other hand, we don't really know Granados, and he may be one of those guys with an iron chin.
Maybe. I think we can buy it and say for certain he is. He's been hit with some hard shots.
And there's another one. And I believe these are the kind of right-hand shots which would have put away most of the opponents on Eric Morel's calendar up to this point. We are in the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino in the 12,500 seat arena, which has been constructed here largely for boxing events. There'll be some big rock and roll and other entertainments like that in here. Here's a look at the surrounding basin in Las Vegas as the sun sets over the mountains at about 24 minutes to 7 West Coast time. Main event should be coming along between 8 and 9 West Coast time, somewhere after 11 p.m. on the East Coast. Stick with us. CompuBox numbers through 6. Harold, how do you have it scored halfway through?
Jim, real big for Eric Morel. 6-0, 60-52. A huge 8-point lead for Eric Morel, basically because he's got that 10-7 round in round 2. Eric Morel does some beautiful stuff. He gives you angles, and that, that's what makes him so hard to hit. Kenny Bayless is getting very annoyed though with the low blows. He keeps telling him, keep him up, and we may see disqualification, Jim.
Morales goes to the body even jabbing. That's how good his left jab is. Good right to the body.
And now Morel begins to flash body punching, something that was missing from the arsenal through the early rounds. Sometimes when it's easy to land upstairs, you forget about the necessity of taking something out of your man's body.
And that's what you got to do when you're fighting a guy like Granado. You got to go down to the body. If that shot he was knocked down earlier with had been some body punches mixed into it, he would have stayed down.
Morel, who spent most of the first half of the bout headhunting, mixes in the body a little bit here in round 7. Right hand to the body there, right under the arm. And Granados comes back with a right hand to the body of his own.
I think the Trunks throws the referee off with those low blow count. Trunks way up on the waist there.
Well, I've seen higher, particularly in the heavyweight division. Of course, heavyweights have a lot of room to protect.
Granados on the ropes, inviting him in again. So few young fighters know how to fight when a guy's on the ropes.
Well, one thing almost none of them seem to know how to do, George, that you talk about is squaring up your shoulders. Don't stay in that conventional stance when you've got your man pinned against the ropes. Go ahead and square your shoulders and face him, right?
That's true. You know, that left foot being extended keeps you farther and farther away from him. He can lean back.
Of course, there's a danger in squaring your shoulders. You make yourself a bigger target.
No, you want to get around the other side a little bit too and drive him away from the ropes.
Morel switching southpaw once again, but not to punch, just to dance. Switching southpaw to lead with the left hand. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Seems to me he's a pretty effective left-hand puncher when it's off the front foot. Round 7 ends with Morel in that southpaw stance. Felix Trinidad smiling and responding to the camera as we go live in his dressing room. And you see the kind of confidence that Felix has projected here in Las Vegas ever since his arrival week before this past week.
Looks really nervous and uptight.
Not particularly. And there's the scene in San Juan, Puerto Rico, where business on the island, the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, has come to a stop, as it is our expectation that more than half the people on that island will view Tito Trinidad in action tonight. Intelligent young man who graduated from high school, has spent 2 years studying accounting at the University of San Juan, and has been working on English in private for the last year, though he still does not attempt to speak it in public.
Granados jumped right in on Morel that time.
The very brave Miguel Angel Granados, obviously unintimidated by the punching tattoo he's taken through most of the fight from Eric Morel. The Letterman card is a shutout so far. Not a lot of snap in Granados' punches, but certainly a lot of moxie in his game as he continues to go at the much more celebrated Morel.
Hey, let him up. Go push down.
Good body shot right in the same spot that Morel hit him early on.
Punch out.
And that hurt. Right to the body, it hurt.
And it stops Granados from punching for the moment as Morel landed a 3-punch combination and then has fired the jab. He steps southpaw, fires the right hand, goes back to his conventional stance, dances away. Eric Morel showing a lot of game here, but not producing the knockout that surely was the hope and expectation of his promotional group.
I think that's pretty intelligent of a young fighter to go back to the body, then set up that same knockdown again that he had early on. That's what he's trying to do.
So you like his skills and his thought process.
Granados is dropping. He's trying to keep that left hand a little lower now to protect that sore spot from the right hand of Morel.
Morel slipping 2 punches. Double jab. Granados missing with the right. Morel back into the southpaw stance. Again to lead with the left hand. I got news for him. His right jab is not in the same league with his left jab.
Has Granados looking out for his side now. You can get away with a lot of things he would not have been able to get away with earlier.
Granados quickly starts shooting right hands through that southpaw stance.
Yeah, surely Granados has fought a few southpaws in his time.
Absolutely.
Another low blow by Granados. Bayless lets that one go by. Morel with a double left hand. I guess the southpaw stance, which Morel has used throughout this round, is aimed at trying to set up a left-hand power shot.
Or it's aimed at getting some rest.
Aha. How does it translate to rest, George?
Well, you keep the guy thinking, now what I had in mind, I've got to change it for a second. He waits and waits, then you switch around, and then he has to start all over again.
All right, I don't know what you're waiting for. You get him close and then you don't throw punches. What are you waiting for? You got to take advantage of this. You got to take advantage. You have to take the opportunity. You got to throw the body, the hands to the body. You're not throwing to the body enough. You got to knock him out. Finish him in this round.
Seconds out. Let's go.
Eric Morel's dad anxious to get back to the dressing room with a knockout victory, imploring his son to do it now. Morel having gone more than 8 rounds, only once previously in his 22-fight career. So here he gets into the 9th round for only the 2nd time. Previous one was a W12.
Madison, of course, is the capital of Wisconsin, the home of the University of Wisconsin, which today was upset by Cincinnati. I think Eric Morel will make the folks there feel a little better about all of this.
Well, I think if he lost to Granados, it would be a bigger upset than the Badgers losing to Cincinnati.
And that was a big one.
His corners told him to get it over with. Morel seemed to be concentrating on one shot now.
But out of the southpaw stance.
One punch.
Hold it. That's a hold. Keep him up. Up, up.
Granados' corner asked him to punch more, and he's doing their bidding. And Morel, who punches less frequently now than in the early going, pretty much allowing Granados to have a chance to come forward and attack.
Good right hand to the body again by Morel.
Make him pay.
That part of the body is really hurting on Granados. Able to fake that right hand at any time and then come back with a left hook, he can finish things.
Switches to the southpaw stance again.
And at this point, he doesn't need to do that.
I think he needs to amuse himself a little, George.
That's all. That's about all he's doing.
Or maybe he has to amuse us as well, because we are not amused anymore by this fight. Morel is the champion of something called the IBA Continental Division Sanctioning Body. That's something I believe dreamed up by Dean Chance, who is sitting ringside. Chance is the former Major League pitcher who once won a Cy Young Award.
That's the last warning I'm gonna give him. Listen, I'm gonna start taking points. You understand? Tell him. Hey. It was late. It was after the bell. It was late and after the bell.
Referee has been commenting about the border wars that we're looking at here through the fight. That one looked right on the border, not south of. That was south of. Another one along the border. Another one. I don't know. Is that below the belt or not, Harold?
A low blow is anything below the belly button. They were low.
Anything below the belly button. And that kind of unequivocal response would be useful in helping to reconstruct the strike zone in baseball. Call Bud Selig, Harold. And we go to the 10th round of a scheduled 12. Eric Morel in the red trunks, 1996 United States Olympian, fighting in the 115-pound weight class, lands a hard right hand on the face of Miguel Angel Granados to start things off in the 10th. If you were going to find any round to give to Granados, maybe it was the 9th, where he landed twice as many power shots as Morel. Let's see if Harold Letterman gave him the round as Bayless warns him one more time. Harold?
Jim, 89-80, 8 rounds.
He did. He gave the round to Granados.
Eric Morel. He did win it. There's no question. He got his good solid shots. Jim, I didn't want to talk over what was going on between rounds, but seriously, there's got to be some point where it's a low blow, and that generally is the belly button.
Well, how can you tell where his belly button is?
You can't, Larry. The referee.
What if he's got a low belly button?
Exactly. You can't. Okay? So generally, I was going to comment that most referees will give you the waistband. See, Granados just hit him on a waistband just about a second ago. Morel hit him on a waistband. If you hit a guy on a waistband, the referees will usually let you get away with it because you can't tell where the belly button is.
And that's about as much as I want to know about belly buttons.
What about Mia's belly button? That would be in the next fight. Referee can't see her belly button either.
Boy, after a fight like this, a guy like Morel, he goes back to the dressing room and all he needs is ice for his fingers. He's been able to land a lot of shots. There are going to be some sore knuckles.
Well, if you love boxing and you want to see the fights go some rounds, you're pleased with this. You get a little bit more than you might have expected. Most people here figuring that Morel would score the early knockout.
Now Morel is motioning Granados to raise the punches.
Maybe Morel should turn to the judges and exact a penalty. You know, I love, in a lot of instances, watching a fighter show his versatility by turning southpaw. But this is one of those cases, Larry, where I have to agree with you. He diminishes his effectiveness when he switches to that southpaw stance.
You know, I've seen it happen hundreds of times. I'm not sure I can remember more than a handful when it meant anything in a fight. I think it's more to amuse the fellow who does it than to be effective in the ring.
You ever switch and fight southpaw, George?
I do it all the time. Nobody seems to notice. True.
Maybe because you're so relaxed.
You just sneak your right foot up just an inch or two and throw the same shot you missed with ordinary.
Two more rounds to go. Okay, this guy's getting tough. Let's go. Breathe in, take some air. Just 2 rounds to go. Let's hit him with the jab. You can really pick him apart with the jab. We got 2 rounds to go. You gotta be first. You gotta be first. You gotta be first. We only have 2 rounds left. You gotta keep on top of him. Don't give him a chance. You be on top of him from the beginning. Let's go for it, Whitey.
Round 11 of a scheduled 12. Eric Morel gets a chance to hurt Miguel and Granados and steps in to attack.
He stumbled a little bit. Gave Morel a little courage that ordinarily he wouldn't have had.
Step back, clean. There we go.
Oh, he's cussing him. Granados, because he stumbled a little bit and the guy tried to take advantage of him, he's upset.
Draw your motivation where you find it.
I think he feels as...
Look at this. Look at this. Who's the contender here? Maybe I can take over.
Watch your heads.
Take something like that to kind of motivate a guy.
Well, just jamming the straight left hand into the mouth of Granados.
Oh, that wicked right hand again by Morel. Right under the side where it hurts.
Super flyweights, junior bantamweights, whichever you prefer. 115-pound fighters.
Granados sweating a lot, so his protective cup is starting to slip downward. He reaches, that's what he keeps reaching down to pull up.
I was wondering about that.
It's the sweat. Sometimes it gets on your leg and it hinders your movement.
Well, and Morel is, for his part, trying to time those moments when Granados reaches down to adjust his trunks so he can clock him with a left hook or a right cross.
Granados got mad about that. He stumbled, and this guy tries to hit me.
Let's say it was a devastating puncher. Let me revise that.
Get him. Go
He's
get
a
him.
slick boxer, is Eric Morel. Well on his way to an easy decision victory here. 1 round to go.
This is it. This is the last round. We need to win this. You gotta go for it. This is do or die. This is it. You gotta gamble on it. Last round.
That's the final round. Touch grass when you come out.
Anytime you punch him, he's doing that. Don't try to punch him hard, but just punch him. Bang, bang, bang. ¿Me entiendes? Yo sé, pero bueno, hay que seguir trabajando. Sí, claro. Para eso ser campeón. A morir, pero bien hechas las cosas.
Don't forget, this is do or die. We're gonna go for it. You do the things well. You gotta do the things well so they can come out well.
Free and earn it. We don't know what the hell the judges are thinking.
No.
Eric Morel looking over here at our announce table and shaking his head as if to say, well, this was tougher than I expected it to be. And just as George Foreman had suggested would be the case, Morel telling his corner between rounds that his hands are hurting.
Oh, yeah, he's been able to turn over too many right hands without hurting. But what a conditioned athlete Morel is. Still continues to have that fancy footwork. That's more than an easy feat there.
Morel looking for his 23rd consecutive victory to begin his professional career. He had 16 knockouts and 22 bouts coming in. So this will, in all likelihood, be the 7th time he's gone the distance. 2nd time he's gone a full 12 rounds. And from the southpaw stance, he is definitely a boxer, not a puncher.
Well, he's starting to make a lot of sounds with his mouth. I think maybe the referee ought to say something about that.
Looking across the ring, if you look at the right corner of your screen, you'll see that Oscar De La Hoya's dad, Joel De La Hoya, has taken his seat at ringside. Slipped there. The Budweiser sign painted. Always the area to get wet first in the ring.
Come up.
Fighting right in front of De La Hoya's dad now. Disappears off the right side of your screen again. Incidentally, Felix Trinidad's dad, of course. Trinidaddy will be in the corner with his son. He is the trainer for Tito.
Morales was hurt with that left hook by Granados that time.
Give Granados credit. Didn't appear to be in the best circumstances coming into the fight, but has proven a game and willing opponent throughout. And while he's likely to lose a lopsided decision, he has made things tougher on Eric Morel than Morel and his people might have suspected, and forced the young prospect to put 12 rounds in the books.
He'll go home to Mexico City and be applauded for winning this fight in his own way.
Last punch right on the belt, right below the belt.
So they go the distance in our first preliminary bout. Here on the night of De La Hoya Trinidad, Eric Morel goes 12 full rounds to start things off against Miguel Angel Granados. And as if the decision of the judges wouldn't be enough to confirm it, Morel felt the necessity at the end of the fight to tell his opponent that he felt he had beaten him soundly. And unless my ears deceive me and my Spanish has gone bad, Morel and the people in his corner were saying some unflattering things, or excuse me, Granados and the people in his corner were saying some unflattering things about Morel as we observed the Mexican fighter close up there.
As if to say, that's a champion, forget it.
So the decision of the judges, here's Michael Buffer.
Of Las Vegas, we go to the Budweiser scorecards. Carol Castellano scores the bout 118 to 108. Art Lurie and Paul Smith both have it 117 to 109, all for the winner by unanimous decision and still champion Eric Little Hands of Stone Morel.
The winner. Morel is the winner. Let's go up to James Brown.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. And I think it's safe to say that we weren't the only ones surprised at how tough a customer Granados appeared to be as Morel keeps his record unblemished. All right, folks.